DJ Rhett Podcast.
That's your mom and them.
What's up, y'all? What's
How you
happening?
doing?
Comment ça va?
Comment ça va?
Call me ça va.
Call me ça
That's
va.
what you say, right?
Yeah, that's what I say. I try to do it for the out-of-staters just to make fun of it because somebody come up to you, hey, you're DJ Rhett, call me ça va. And I'm like, no, that's not how you say it. But
Oh boy, they try.
at least you're trying.
They try.
But you guys are trying. I mean, Bayou Wild TV, it's coming along nicely. The last couple of years, you guys have kind of splashed on the scene with Mr. Don Dubuque. Tell me how it all came together. I mean, I know that's a loaded question, but let's just start with who y'all are and how did this magical thing come together?
I'm the foreigner here. I worked at WGNO in New Orleans for 3 years, and I was not quite pleased with my career. And I met Don at his alma mater, Rummel, at a Beast Feast. So it kind of was destiny, I think, in that point, because I was introduced to him, and I talked about kind of where I was in the news industry, and I wasn't happy, and I wanted to stay in the outdoor world, but I still loved working in media. So a few months after that, he had approached me and Chris about starting a new show. They had worked together for several years with Paradise, Louisiana. And over the course of the next 6 months, we just brainstormed and came up with an idea to do something a little different than a typical hunting, fishing show that's pushing products and ranches and wherever.
And
Yeah, not just your
nuts
how
and
to,
bolts,
where to.
it's not the nuts and bolts of the outdoors.
Right. And I mean, that's what I like about the show is because it relates to so many people. You don't really take it serious, but you do take it serious. You know what I'm saying? And I think people can relate to that. They kind of they're a little bit more open-minded to be like, hey, I'm not really an outdoorsman.
Right.
But these people are just like me. You know what I'm saying? They're not like all like, yeah, on this episode, we're going to go out and shoot that.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel intimidated by that. And that's what I like about y'all's show.
Well, I've only lived in Louisiana for 6 years, but I kind of dove in head first, and I was getting introduced to fishing and hunting before Bayou Wild.
Where are you originally from?
I grew up in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
But I've lived in the South.
Clearly north.
I've lived in the South for 18, 19 years now, but Bayou Wild, I'm kind of the experiment here because a lot of the things that we've done on the show were my first time doing a lot of these things.
Right.
So I want to show other people that no matter how old you are, male, female, kid, senior citizen, that the outdoors is accessible to everybody. And a lot of that has been filmed. A lot of my first deer, my first tuna, my first whatever has all been done on camera, which I guess I'm just comfortable having a camera around and doing it now. But what we get a lot of response from is people that I've had so many people say, I'm interested in doing this and I was too intimidated to try, but then I saw your show and that looked like so much fun and it wasn't as scary anymore. So that's kind of one of the things.
It's the juxtaposition too of Don's done it all. He's been in it for decades.
Right.
So to see the difference of her, who's experiencing a lot of this for the first time, and his experience of doing it his whole life, it's really cool to see that come together.
Now, for those who don't know who Don Dubuque is, he's kind of like a little outdoor sportsman legend around here, kind of a local bayou guy. He started off, WWL TV years ago?
He's actually had his radio program for 33 years now.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
So he's been doing Don
It's the longest running outdoor show, I think, in Louisiana.
Probably
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And
I would
he
think so.
airs in like 32 states on his radio show.
Guy knows his stuff.
So, he does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then he's got into TV also. And that's how Don and I started working together, was the Paradise, Louisiana TV show.
It's kind of funny how Don entered the outdoor world around the same age as me in terms of media. He obviously hunted and fished his whole life. But
Right.
he was unhappy in a career field and middle age, had 3 children. He took a huge leap of faith and started doing radio first, and then that graduated to television. So I feel like we have a lot of commonalities.
Right.
I'm like his next generation of what he did. So it's been really fun working with him and Chris. I mean, we feel like family. We're all totally different, but we all bring a different piece to it. And people are surprised that I'm so new to all this stuff, but I just can't see myself not outside anymore.
Right. Now, so did it start at an early age, your love for the outdoors in Connecticut?
Yeah,
I mean,
my
what is
love-
in Connecticut
well,
that you can shoot and eat with rice?
I didn't do the hunting. I did fish as a kid. My dad had an offshore boat, but I took a really long hiatus from that for years. I was always an outdoors person. I was a huge surfer. I always lived on the coast, so I always was near the ocean. I love boats, but I didn't get back into the hunting fishing game really until about 2015. And then I was doing a little segment for my news channel there called Fish Tales that I aired on Fridays. And that's how I got introduced to so many of these inshore guides in Southeast Louisiana. Cold calling them, they had no idea who I was, and I convinced them to take me out and go on these adventures. And that's really kind of how I met Don, too. So I had a mild introduction to it before Bayou Wild, but I'm also now a charter captain. So
Right.
I work offshore now. So it's kind of like my whole world just evolved into the outside.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, you went to school for the video side of everything?
Yeah, communications.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you went to LSU?
Southeastern.
Southeastern. Okay, all right. No, you do some stuff for LSU though, right?
I do work for SEC Network. And
The
ESPN.
SEC Network.
Yeah.
That's where I got the confusion from. Okay, so cool. So you love working with cameras, imagery, all of that your whole life.
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
think
what
so.
me. I mean, I
you and
love
I
doing
talked
that.
about this before.
Right.
It seems like as early as I could, I was taking mom and dad's big VHS video camera and
Right.
putting it on my shoulder and doing fun stuff around the house with it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like my second year of college that I realized, wait, you can make a career out of this.
And
What
he's-
is that? What does that mean?
He's the best, y'all. He's the best. I mean, camera work is great.
And the degree is more journalism. You know,
Right.
they don't teach you really production in schools.
No, I think that the production value is just a knack that somebody naturally has, and I think that's why it's like kind of like a marriage made in heaven, a little match. All
Yeah.
of you guys kind of coming together.
We would be nowhere without Chris. Chris does not get near the accolades he should, because if you've seen any of the videos he's produced, whether a teaser, a full episode, an outtake of, a little extra for YouTube, the camera work blows my mind every time. I mean, I text him after I see a show and I'm just like, where did you get that idea?
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Well, we had talked about one of the challenges in our field in general is that it's hard to set yourself apart when everyone's got a camera now.
Right.
And everyone thinks that they're a camera person.
Yes.
And you have to take it to another level.
You have to have the ability to tell a story.
Yes.
With a camera.
Right.
Not only just narration and not only, the subject matter of what you're doing, you have to figure out, okay, when I get out there, yes, we're fishing, but how can I make it interesting? Because if you just put the camera on and film someone
not gonna
fishing,
hold
it's
someone's
not going to hold
attention.
someone's attention. You have to storytell, and it not only has to do with the content, it has to do with the imagery. Like you have to. So I know you probably rack your brains because I do. When I'm out there, I'm like, okay, what kind of shot can I get? Because I see
It's
the last time.
exhausting a lot of
it
times.
is.
I mean, you constantly have to be thinking. People, you probably hear it too. You're so lucky you hunt and fish for a living.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm there. And I mean, I do
Right.
love the fact that I'm not in a newsroom or something like that. And my career could have taken me a lot of different places. But it is a lot of work sometimes to just
It's a ton of work because
constantly be thinking.
there's certain segments that I have filmed for a show. We're all different places. Chris lives an hour from me, and we go on different trips that are just personal trips, but we always try and bring a camera. And I used to do some camera work for my news stations, but I didn't fully appreciate how much time goes into it until I brought a camera on a trip and tried to film as much stuff. And my brain is just constantly going like, tight shot, wide shot, narrow shot, moving shot. What am I missing? And I might think I have enough video, and it's nowhere near what he needs. So
Right.
he is constantly got the gears turning.
That's
Never
what.
enough.
Well, and we were talking about that when we went film out there. A lot of people, when they call you, hey, I want to do a little minute project, whatever, little minute thing to put on social media. Okay, you quote them, and they're like, ow, what, and you're like, no, that's how much it costs. And then they don't realize that for 1 minute of content, you really need like 4 or 5 hours of filming.
Tons of video.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's not just
You can
turning
never
the
have
camera
too
on.
much.
Yeah, exactly. So I know
And
you
then-
rack your brains for
And
that.
then you edit also.
Yes.
So not only are you out there in the field and you're thinking about different shots, but your brain's already thinking of how these shots going to work together.
Right.
You're sort of pre-editing what you're doing while you're doing
We've
it.
put
So-
cameras in the air. We've put cameras underwater. And I'm not just talking 2 feet underwater. We've literally attached cameras to people swimming down 2 oil rigs. I mean, there's
Right.
no limits for what you can do.
Well, and then sometimes you have ideas that don't work out. I'll put a lot of thought into, this would be really cool.
Uh-huh.
And you take the effort to make the shot work.
Right.
And you go and look at it, you're like, and it's not really going to work on TV.
yeah,
and you
yeah.
just trash
Trial
it.
and
You hit
error.
delete, and you might never see it again.
Exactly.
Nobody knew this existed.
Did I see that scene? It was a little promo or something, a little teaser for season 6, and it was somebody going down So that's a GoPro you put on them?
That was probably a GoPro.
Oh, that was me at the Springs, probably.
Yeah,
It
somebody
looked like a
diving.
rig with barnacles.
Oh.
It was
Yeah.
blue and it
Yeah.
was going down.
Oh, that was actually something I had shot several years ago. I'm a free diver, so
Okay.
when the water's clear, I would tell my friends to put a camera on. But some of the best video I think we've gotten that's really pushed us to another level has been Chris's drone footage. I mean, we have gotten
we love our
whales in
drone.
Alaska. I mean, just birds, in Stuttgart, like just incredible stuff.
There's so many different things you could do with a drone. I mean, back in the day, you have to pay $10,000 and a permit to get a
Right.
helicopter up
Right.
in the air to get the perfect scene you wanted. Nowadays, I mean, you just send the drone up and
Just make sure you're not in a no-fly zone.
yeah. If you don't want to, don't fly in a no-fly zone. You got to
And
get
make sure
your
you know
proper
the laws
stuff.
when it comes to nature.
Well, there's nothing that will bust your bubble more in production whenever you thinking you're going to a location, you're ready to use a drone,
Then you
and you
can't.
send it up, and you're in a no-fly zone.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
you're in a restricted area or whatever. I run
Exactly.
into that.
I'll never
especially
forget.
in Louisiana. There's airports all over the
Everywhere.
coast. in
One of the
Louisiana, so you
funniest
run
drone
into a lot.
situations, I got to tell this anecdote. We were in Homer, Alaska 2 years ago. And I mean, if you've ever been to Alaska, everything's a postcard there. Like, it's
Right.
beautiful. And we're eating lunch after a fishing trip. Chris puts his drone up, as he always does. And, if we don't know where Chris is, we're like, oh, he's flying the drone. I mean, and
Walking around with a camera somewhere.
Yeah.
So he's in the parking lot with the drone, and he's flying it around, and he's taking a little longer than he normally does. And I walk up to him, I was like, everything okay? He goes, I can't find my drone. He flew it so far away, he didn't know where it was. Because he got carried away looking at the mountains
Yeah,
and the
I'm gonna
scenery.
go
And
look
you
at
can't
this,
really
I'm
hit
gonna go look
home
at this.
because
Yeah.
it's too far away.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
He
this
got it
was-
back.
It's not nearly as advanced as the one I
Oh,
have now.
This was the
Okay,
early
alright.
days, but it was. I can't find my drone.
I mean, and like she said, everything is so scenic.
Right.
So I'm flying around. I'm like, oh, that goes cool. I'm gonna go fly and look at that.
Gonna go look at this.
But then everything really looks the same. Like, when you're starting to
absolutely.
scan,
And then you're like,
trying
I
to
don't know where I
find-
am.
You're like, where is the drone?
And then it
at?
was far enough away to where I couldn't hear it.
You couldn't
Right.
see it or hear it. So
And then I just kept going in circles trying to figure out, all right, what's a building around me that I can, or a boat
that
next to me
seagull
that I
looks
can-
like the other seagull, so don't look at that
then while
seagull.
you're doing
we're
that-
we're at a marina with 1,000 boats at it. They all look the same from
Right.
a couple hundred feet in the air.
Yeah, and you add it, you're trying to hurry up and land, and it's boop, you better land in 5 minutes or the
Yep,
battery's,
battery's
going
gonna die.
It did come back.
Yeah.
Luckily.
It came back. Awesome. Man. Yeah, because, man, that makes me nervous. The first time I ever flew a drone, it was one of the GoPro
like
ones.
this.
Oh,
Try
yeah.
flying one in the Gulf
It was
when
the
you're trying to
Corma-
land it on a
Oh
boat.
man, I was nervous just flying into my backyard.
Yep.
I'm gonna hit my house. I'm gonna
Yep.
hit my house. But yes, it does really get amazing drone scenes. Like one of the scenes that I saw, there was a film producer on, I forgot his name, it's escaping me, but he's got like 4 million subscribers, and he kind of does the fishing thing too. Well, he made a little movie a couple of weeks ago, and he posted it. He came down and he fished in Cocodrie, and they had this drone shot. It was coming down, it was right on top of the boat, and you can see the redfish in the water,
Yeah.
and he throws it, and the guy running the drone is telling him, hey, all right, just move a little bit this way, move a little bit to the right, and you can see the redfish
Yeah.
come up, boom, get it. Dude, it was one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen in my life. Actually,
It
seeing
gives
the redfish
you another
coming
angle
up.
that you just can't get on.
Man, yeah, it's just, and it's beautiful too. So, but talking about the show, what's the weirdest thing? One of the weirdest things that's ever happened to y'all on the show, or one of the most interesting characters you brought on the show. Now, I went on the show a couple of, but I'm sure y'all had some way more
Well,
interesting
I
characters
can think of
than
a
me.
few characters. One that jumps out at me is Chef Philippe Parola. He is a
He's a
French
character.
chef, and he is very memorable. His whole mantra is, if you can't beat it, eat it. And what that means is he specializes in taking invasive species and finding ways to market them.
Trying to commercialize it as a marketable food source.
He's
Okay.
obsessed with Asian carp, the flying fish.
The flying fish that come out
jumps
the water, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went out, and he wanted to show us how bad they were. And we went out on a boat
Aren't
with
they
him.
invasive too,
Extremely.
like a
Absolutely, yeah.
Nutra? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he is just, if you've seen any of the shows with him, you'll know who I'm talking about, because he cooked a nutria on the show, he cooked a carp on the show, but he's extremely passionate, and he's, got this accent, and he's
Very
just...
strong Parisian French, not Cajun French,
Oh,
but
okay.
Parisian
Yeah,
French
he's
accent.
French, but everybody who knows him,
Je ne sais pas c'est quoi le menu.
he
A little bit
Plus.
he's got a great idea too. I mean, it's just very hard to market because of the whole FDA regulations and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we went out and filmed with him on a boat where we were zapping the carp, meaning sticking electronic stuff in the water to make them jump. And
Right.
one of them jumped in the boat and hit me while I was recording with the camera. That's a 30-pound fish. I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen those YouTube videos.
I've
where-
heard people get knocked out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that was pretty funny. Who do you have?
Well, I think one of our most requested shows of last year was DJ Rhett.
Oh, no, stop it.
Hunting alligator. No, it was. A lot of people enjoyed it.
Well,
But we had fun with it. And I think
the one
that's-
thing about me, when I get out there, I'm so improv. So the whole squatting with the alligator thing, I thought of that on the spot. Like
Yeah.
it just, I don't know.
It's authentic though with you. I mean, it
Yeah.
comes off like I'm not doing this to produce a show. This is just funny. This
Right.
is just
But
what
I think
do.
what we stressed on that show is that it is supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be a
I mean,
fun
the people
thing.
that's never been alligator hunting but only know it from
Swamp
all
people.
these swamp people on these
Right.
other shows, it's not really that exciting.
They think it's like so suspenseful, like you're hunting dinosaur.
Yeah,
and
it's not as intimidating as it looks.
it's not that bad. I mean,
But it is
But
fun.
it is fun.
It
yeah,
is, yeah.
exactly. It's like it's hunting. It's the
It's
thrill
something
of
you
the
can't
chase.
do in so many places. You know, it's like one of the things people think of. I mean, if there's one animal in Louisiana, people think about it's an alligator. I mean,
Yeah.
They
But
think
I
it's the
would- I
biggest
would-
novelty ever.
I would say going back, if we don't get too far off a tangent, going back to one of the craziest characters, we had Big Frida.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
on Bayou
yeah.
Wild. And unfortunately,
We
Martha
weren't
and
able
I
to be
weren't
there
able
that
to be
day.
there. It was Don with his WWL camera guy.
Oh, okay, all right.
'cause
Well,
it was-
yeah, I think I saw that because Sheba Turk, I think,
Sheba
was
Turk,
there
yeah,
too.
she helped coordinate it because she was doing a series for her WWL morning where she takes New Orleans people and puts them in an awkward situation
Oh,
or something.
okay.
So she
So that
reached
was
out
the
to us and
awkwardness.
said, "I want to put Big Frida in an outdoor situation." So we start racking our brains and said, "Garfish? Why not a garfish?
Right.
Big
Craziest
garfish."
looking thing
Where
ever.
was that? Because them garfish is
Slidell.
like you look like you could just grab them out the water. I mean, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
It
An
was
undisclosed location.
undisclosed neighborhood location.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah,
One more
I know those
person-
spots.
That wasn't, so over the top. That's a favorite of mine. His name is Dutch Prager. He is 96 years old as of December, and he is the founder of the New Orleans Big Game Fishing Club. This man was catching marlin and tuna before it was cool. I mean, 7 miles out of South Pass. So he founded the fishing club that's still there in Venice today. And he's known, we call him the man of the marsh because he, in his later years, he hasn't been offshore in 20 years, but he pioneered offshore fishing in Louisiana and then transitioned in his later life to marsh fishing. And he's very good friends with Captain Mike Gallo, who Angling Adventures of Louisiana. And we got to go in the marsh with him at 95 years old, and he is just a gem. I mean, he is so sharp and he's 96 years old, and we went 2 hours away in a 26-foot boat and caught redfish with him. And that was a memory, like, I feel blessed to have met him. So he's one of my favorite characters, too.
Yeah, and to hear him talking about, just his entire life of fishing, it's pretty impactful.
I love those stories. The old people just
How
sit
many
down and tell you
generations are in 96 years,
Right,
You think
right.
about that.
I don't know. South Louisiana, you squeeze a few
Quite
of
a
them
few,
in there.
yeah.
It depends on where you're at, what town you're in.
Legally or illegally, I don't know. But yeah, no. I've heard of families having like 6, 7 generations. Like, it's kind of weird, but that's what we do down here. We love
That's
each
why
other.
you start naming them T and Little T and all that sort of stuff. You run out of
Everybody's
names.
T and Trey, and everybody's the same. But
The
so Bayou Wild. When did y'all? What was the first episode? When did y'all start? What year did it start?
We technically started filming in 2017, but it
17.
didn't premiere until 2018.
Okay.
We filmed our first episode a week before my birthday in December 2017 in Mississippi. What an awesome trip that was. We went to the Sanctuary Lodge in Mississippi, in Woodville. I had never killed a deer, and we spent, 2 days hunting, trying to find the right one. And on the last day we were there, after we successfully did that, and caught me crying on camera.
Hi-yow!
Oh, yeah. Oh, talk about, I'd never had more of a nervous moment with a camera in
was
my
tense.
face. It took me like 7 minutes to shoot this deer.
Now look, I've never shot a deer before.
I was terrified.
I've always gone to, I've gone to the deer camp and sit down and just, it's just,
But
it's
I got
not
to
for
have,
me.
I got Chris and
understand it,
Don
but-
with me, so that was cool. We were all together for that
Right.
moment.
That was
And
really our first
So it
time
really,
doing
Yeah.
so y'all really get
Yeah.
nervous, like, because I'm not gonna experience that. I
well,
don't
think of
I could
added
do that.
pressure. I mean, most people in Louisiana, not most, but hunters, people that hunt here were probably 9, 10 years old when they did this, and I was 32 or something. So,
Right.
and then I have a camera crew with me. And,
camera crew.
So the
then
And
pressure
it was the
Mounts.
last hunt. It was the last hunt of the trip. It was dusk.
You got to get it now.
It's like, you better do this. Don't mess it up.
Crunch time.
And then the coolest part of that, we never in a million years would have predicted this to happen. And that's ironic because I'm a meteorologist, or I was by trade. But on our last morning there, you'll remember this weekend because it was 2017 December when it snowed.
Yep. I remember that. I have some video
We woke
of that.
up in Woodville to 5 inches of snow on the ground.
Wow. Yeah, we just had a little bit on the ground though.
But it was a big deal.
Snowman, that's about it.
But the further north you went in Louisiana
Right.
and even in southeast Louisiana, there was accumulation. And that was, we got to film a Christmas, you know, outro.
Episode, yeah, in
Outro.
Louisiana.
So what a pilot episode, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
you set the
First
bar
deer
there.
on camera to
Snow.
the bitter end, and then we get a snow.
Yeah.
It happens once every 10 years, and we got it.
was,
Yeah.
That was a good
That's like a good kickoff.
message.
Now, not
for the-
everything has worked that well.
No. We've had years
No.
where we're like, God, we should just leave the camera at home.
Look, and I mean, we do the Y'all Catching Show. We've only got like 6 episodes, so I can understand. You guys, how many episodes y'all going on?
103?
Yeah,
we're at?
okay. That blows my mind because I know how much went into the 6 episodes we do. So you guys, I mean, I know the troubles you could run into. I mean, tell me a nightmare story of a camera that you filmed all day and probably didn't get the footage when you're done.
The first alligator hunt we did, we had some problems.
Yeah, the first alligator hunt we did, it rained the entire time, and I didn't bring a raincoat for the camera. So I have a garbage bag wrapped around the camera trying to film as much as I can and
Guess
not
what
get it wet.
happened?
Well,
Right.
it gets wet enough to where it's not working.
Oh,
and then we had we did a shrimping excursion.
Oh, wow, that was a
There's
wet
a guy
one.
in around the Hopedale area that takes people on shrimping excursions.
Biblical rains on this trip.
It tremendous downpour. I mean, it was beautiful morning. We rode out, pretty sunrise, slow boat ride. When it's time to pull in the shrimp nets in,
Get out of the
torrential
cover.
downpour. And I'm standing in like a little bitty corner of the boat trying not to get the camera wet. Well, it
Right.
gets so wet it stops working.
Stops working.
Can I tell the
I
story?
resort to a GoPro to film most of that
Yeah,
episode.
You gotta
it
do
came
what you
out
gotta
good.
do.
It was good. Can I tell the story about the squirrel hunt?
Go for it.
This
Why not?
Because it's so great, and you're such a professional. We went to Luling. We were just up the road, and we went on a squirrel hunt with dogs. And it's wet, you know, swampy, kind of 2 inches of water. Walk around in your mud boots, and we're towards the tail end of the hunt. We're hunting with dogs. So the dogs find the squirrels. We follow the dogs. Well, there was a ditch. And thankfully, this was at the end of our hunt. I think we had been done shooting. We were walking back. And these dogs jumped this ditch. And Chris, what was it, a turtle shell you saw? He saw an empty turtle shell, and he's got a little boy. So he said, I'm going to go get that for Dean. Mm-hmm. Well, he sees the dogs run the way of the turtle shell. And they kind of just levitate over this ditch. So
Well, it was wet. We were in flooded woods
Right.
the whole day. We were walking around in ankle-deep water the entire day.
It's just water. You didn't think anything of it. Well,
swamp.
Chris takes a step. And I don't know where this hole came from, but he went up to his shoulders like quicksand, up to here with a camera in his hand and a backpack.
my.
So he shoots his hand up in the air with his camera like a true professional. And
Don't try
like
this at home.
Like
I
the
am a
jerk that I
professional.
am, I just can't stop laughing. I mean, he is to the shoulders. You know, what's the Stand By Me with the leeches? You know,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
all I could
yeah.
think about. And he's up to his shoulders
Camera
in
in the
mud.
hair in the air with one hand and treading water with
Yeah.
the other hand,
Oh,
just keep
my,
myself
man.
afloat.
My
That
stomach
must be
hurt.
scary, huh? Like,
He was also being the true professional that he is. He had to change of clothes in his car. So.
oh man, no,
But-
I would.
I got kids. You got to keep changing
Oh.
clothes. in-
I got kids too, but I don't do that.
But yours are a little more grown. I still had a baby at the time.
Oh, I
was
gotcha.
like father of the year.
Oh yeah,
here.
you,
I mean,
you got for those. Yeah, that happens all the time.
it was
So how you got out?
I sort of swam
Take the
out.
camera!
Yeah.
Pulled
Somebody
himself
grabbed
out.
the camera, but see, Don had a smaller camera in his other hand, and he didn't film me going in, but you hear all the commotion.
Oh.
Like he had it running, just kind of pointing at somebody else. So you hear the, get the camera, and then
I'll never
it was
forget
a great
that.
moment.
It was,
I bet you.
it was fun. It was a better moment for me than.
I bet you could probably make a whole season on blooper reels. Probably.
We do.
have a lot.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, 'cause-
End of year blooper reel every.
oh man.
Yeah, we didn't do it this past year or this past month. We usually in January have a get together with all of the captains and a lot of people that we do shows with, and we have a blooper party, unedited,
kind of talk about what happened and
Oh,
stuff.
it's a whole 30 minutes of just
unrestrained blooper party. We just
stuff
take
that-
all the bloopers, I put them together in a 25, 30-minute video, cuss words, everything else. And
That's the best. The bloopers are probably the best part
yeah,
of the.
Yeah.
you know, we have a for TV version of the bloopers,
Right.
but then we have an unedited version at this little private
Yeah.
party, and it's a
Beep,
lot
beep.
of fun. And unfortunately, we couldn't have it this past year
right. Because of COVID.
because of the COVID.
Oh man. Y'all about over this COVID crap?
I've been over it.
Yeah, man.
Been
And you know
over
what? It's good. The stuff that you guys do is like you're in the outdoors, so it's kind of
We are
helped
lucky.
y'all.
We are lucky that we still were able to do a lot, but we did end up. We canceled more things than I thought we would have to. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go to Alaska this year. That was a huge bummer. We do that every summer, and there was a lot of trips that just didn't materialize because we didn't know what was going on. So, but the beauty of the outdoors is it is your safe spot. I mean, if you watch, I guess now's a good time to plug the premiere.
The new season.
Yeah,
Well, it's kind
go
of
ahead.
what we
Let's talk about
reiterate.
it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this new season is going to be about. Is we had a lot of trips in the last year that haven't aired yet,
Right.
but they kind of reiterate that the outdoors is it's a safe place.
It's the place to be
A lot
in
of
a time
times
like
you're
this.
Yeah.
away from people. You're away from politics. You're away from social media. You're away from all this other stuff. It's
Right.
your
It's a
way to get out. so-
stress-free, safe.
It's a way to reset.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, I went. Like I said, I'm not an out. I love to fish, hunting. I'll go, but I mean, I'm not like let's go to Academy and get the shells. I'm not like that. But I love just going out there, drinking your coffee, and you're at peace.
Yeah.
Like you don't hear. You turn the phone off. All you hear is the pecans in the background hitting the. You know what I'm saying? Like it's peaceful, and I guess that's why people say, "Oh, you blessed to do what you got. You
Yeah,
do."
we
But I
are.
mean. We are blessed, but
There
I mean,
was a period back in April as a charter guide. We were really busy right before COVID. And then when COVID started, nobody could travel. That was the biggest thing. It was the travel
Right.
restraints. Once the travel restrictions lessened and we were out of quarantine, the outdoors industry itself exploded. I
Right.
mean, if you look at different, not just Louisiana, but if you look at state fishing licenses, hunting licenses, the number of women getting outdoors, just the outdoor industry
Kids.
just
Yeah, I mean,
exploded.
everything, yeah.
Because it was one place you could go where you weren't confined and you weren't thinking about it and you weren't, close to somebody that could get you sick. So,
or
I mean,
strangle your wife and kids.
exactly. Sanity. How many divorces happened because of COVID? I mean, or babies, you know?
Well, I mean, I gotta admit, I got a little stronger, on our match. I mean, you can look at it
It's
both
gonna
ways.
go one way or the
yeah,
other,
it's
yeah.
gonna go one way or the other. And I actually look at it. I mean, I don't know if you guys look at it this way, but the pandemic was sort of a blessing. Like it
In
was
some
an
ways.
eye opener. Yeah, in some ways. I mean, it was scary, but now that I look back on it, I mean, can you guys say that maybe the show or some of the ideas that y'all getting ready to come out, you thought during quarantine because there were some things that was just going through your mind that you don't usually think about because you're in isolation? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
comedy
so.
things that I came up with was during quarantine.
Oh,
Because
you
it's
got a
like-
lot of material had to.
Right. I mean, I had a lot of videos that popped off during quarantine because I'm poking fun at the fact that we're trapped,
Right, right.
and you're in your own little prison. And I think it popped off that way, and I think it's gonna rub off on an outdoor show like you guys have to say, hey, you don't have to stay in a house. You can go enjoy the great outdoors.
Yeah.
That few weeks back in March, April, I guess it was April, because we went from, in my fishing career, we went from a fantastic March, huge tunas, epic year. People were blowing off COVID. They didn't even care because the fishing was so good. But then April was kind of when it became scary and uncertain. And I literally the mental struggles that it put on people. Being an outdoors person, I feel like a feral cat when I'm locked inside.
Right.
Like I don't want to be indoors. And when I didn't have fishing and we didn't have things to film, I was literally depressed. I was unhappy. I was stressed. I was like, when is this going to end? Like, I can't sit inside and do adult coloring books all day.
Right.
I got to go do something. I get in my kayak and just go.
Yeah.
There's only so many DJ Rhett videos I can watch
Right.
before I gotta go outside and do something, right?
I was telling the guys during the pandemic, I was out going outside and videoing like the ditch, and they were like, "Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Because I'm so freaking bored." But I would just get the right angles and I'd get the light, and I was just like, and my wife's like, "Why are you videoing the ditch?" I'm like, "What else am I gonna do?" But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it when I look at it as a blessing, you guys, me, we kind of got to hit the reset button and recharge and kind of look at things different and I guess expand on our craft is what
One
I'm
thing
saying.
I did a lot of during COVID was cook. I did a lot of
Learned some new things.
Well, yeah, I took ideas from people we'd met through our show because I didn't really know much about wild game aside from frying fish and blackening fish and baking fish and tried to take things from prior guests and practice. And what else am I going to do? I'm stuck inside. So,
Well, that's one thing I learned about, like watching Bayou Wild TV is y'all kind of went from an outdoor thing and then y'all kind of segueing into
everybody
how to prepare
eats.
it. Yeah, everybody eats.
Yeah.
So
Not everybody hunts and fishes. Everybody
tell
eats.
me about that. Like y'all get local, reach out to local people.
Something that we kind of decided right early on is that we wanted to work in cooking to, if not every episode, as many episodes as we could. And we usually try to do it to where we're cooking whatever fish or game that we have in that episode, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Right.
And we're fortunate enough to partner up with Chef John Foles, who's probably one of the most prominent names in Louisiana cooking.
Exactly.
And he contributes cooking segments. We'll go to his estate there in Baton Rouge a couple times a year and do a day full of cooking, and he'll do 4, 5, 6 recipes at a time. But then we do also, Don and Martha do some on their own.
Some of my friends that
Some friend, we'll have friends of the show that want to do one, and
what do you
other
really see is everybody
professional chefs. Anybody.
it's
My mom's
all the
done one.
in-between.
My mom's done one because she wanted to do her mother, my grandmother's recipe. She said, "Oh, I got a good idea for Mother's Day." I said, "Yeah, I like that. Let's do it." So, I mean, we kind of take anything, anybody that wants to cook on the show. And you've done one. It hadn't aired yet, but we got you cooking etouffee on the show.
Etouffee, yeah.
Part of the beauty of just the outdoors hunting, fishing lifestyle that I love is taking what you, I guess people say harvest. I say kill. You killed it. You didn't harvest it. It's not a fruit. You killed it. And then you cooked it.
Harvest is a grain.
Right.
To me.
But some people think, I harvested this deer. No, you killed it. And you cleaned it.
And you
prepared
slaughtered
it. And that is but that is the connection that brings people. And it is so great to it's so great to share. Like, one of the things that I love, not being a Louisiana native, is my entire freezer is stuff that I have caught or shot.
Right.
I don't buy protein. And I give it to friends and share it. And I love cooking for other people now. And I think that is just something that Louisiana, you don't have to be the one that caught it or the one that shot it to appreciate it. But I think people that are like, cooking is love. I mean, somebody that cooks you a meal of something that they, went from start to finish on. It's just, when you put your head around that, it's such a connection to where you are.
Right. And I think that's what makes Louisiana so inviting and people to come here, is because we entice people to come here with our food. And it's just, we put, like you said, our love in it. I mean, and the love is called butter and onions. That's
Exactly.
what it's called. And lots of it. Lots of it. But, we're known for the place that we live in, because you can just go, like you said.
Go in your backyard.
Our freezer. Yeah.
Go catch some frogs. Go
You
shoot
can
some squirrels.
Shoot the squirrel right off the telephone pole and eat them.
And it cracks me up. My family up north doesn't get it. They think I was like, they pay $26 for that plate of redfish. We just caught 5 and could feed 30 people with that. Once you learn how to live off the land, you don't look at things the same way.
No.
When I had to go buy some groceries, I was like, oh, golly, this backstrap I just cooked would have been a gourmet meal at so-and-so's, and that's just so much.
I don't know if y'all do this, but maybe every 2-3 months, we'll go through the freezer and we'll forget that we got the deer tamales in the back, or we got the the deer burritos or whatever we made, and we just have a freezer party.
It's great. Yeah, those are fun.
I don't know if people up north would ever have a freezer party.
Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't into it up then, but I just know I don't like spending $7 for a pound of ground beef.
Yeah, no. You rather go $2 for a bullet and put it down.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know up more north part of the country, deer hunting is a little more prominent. There's other hunting that's more prominent, but it seems like here it's
the diversity
it's a diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, you can dig in my freezer right now, and I don't have nearly as much as she does, but I got flounder, I got pheasant, I got quail, I got offshore species of fish, I got deer, and all of this, like she said, sharing with other people. It's stuff that people has given to me, because I'm never the one with the fishing pole or the gun, but I always end up with a little bit of it from other people. So,
do y'all notice that when y'all go shoot episodes up north versus down south? Is it more, like, I guess up north, is it more of like a macho thing, and where down here it's more of a living thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do y'all see that? Because the persona that I get when I watch TV is down here, it's more of like living off of the land, and we make use of everything. Like, we'll even take the alligator teeth and make jewelry out of it.
Right.
Whereas up north, it's more of like, look on my wall. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's just the imagery that
every hunter that's a a true hunter is not just doing it to put a mount on the wall. So I think we we have more in common than people down here may think to other places. I mean, we do these Cajun invasion trips specifically to show folks from here that we're not that different. And, we go to South Dakota and they take their quail and their pheasant and their meals and they cook them for us. So I think we honestly have more in common than people would think. But we do have more of a diversity in terms of, like there's a lot of things people up there. But then again, we go to South Dakota and they eat something called cannibal, and it's literally raw meat that's seasoned. And it's like, people down here are like, whoa.
It's like their version of hog head cheese.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, whoa.
Or what they call that? Fasishi or whatever, that fish that's kind of just...
yeah.
Sashimi?
Sashimi. And, well, not sashimi. They call it something else, but it's just raw fish that they just let go in the sun, and they put a little lemon juice on it, and they eat it like that.
I don't know if I've done that one. But
what is that? What is it? So
I don't know.
No, the one that you're talking about.
Oh, it's called cannibal.
What is it? What is it made of?
It's ground meat, but it is...
It's raw?
It's raw, but it's
kind
seasoned.
of like aged meat.
Yeah, it's salted and seasoned, and it's actually delicious.
So there's no like stuff that can actually hurt you, because it's so...
It's just so
aged
cured,
and salted and cured. Yeah, okay.
Kind of like ceviche. I mean, everyone thinks ceviche.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Ceviche is delicious. People think it's raw, but it's cooked in the lemon juice.
In the lemon juice, right?
Yeah, it's technically the acids cook it, but basically. What I think is from where we've gone, Alaska, South Dakota, Arkansas, wherever, every area has their specialty. But I think Louisiana, our specialty is our diversity, if that makes sense.
Is it I'm not a very, I don't go hunt a lot and everything, but what's popular down here as far as hunting game down here? The number one, I don't see a lot of deer hunting. When I hear somebody say they're going deer hunting, they go to Mississippi. Is there a lot of deer hunting going on in Louisiana?
Yeah, there is.
There's just not as many big deer.
Leases and stuff?
Turkey hunting is pretty big.
Okay.
Small game hunting?
In Louisiana, small game hunting and duck hunting is probably the most prominent of hunting, although the duck hunting is getting kind of controversial.
With Ducks Unlimited, maybe?
Just people have differences on the migration. Ducks are really coming here, not coming here, and
I'll tell you one thing.
All that, but
one thing that's really
popular. There are a lot
popular.
of duck hunters, up and down the flyway, which is from Canada to Louisiana.
Right.
Per capita, I think there's more duck hunters in Louisiana than anywhere registered or licensed.
I would say one animal that's talked about less than it's actually hunted is pigs. I mean, wild pigs. You cannot see a pig and not want to shoot it.
Oh yeah.
You just want to shoot it.
And
it's
delicious
fun.
boucherie.
Yeah.
Shoot them too.
They're good. I mean, once you open your mind, like an animal might look kind of gross, but if you figure out how to cook it, I mean.
Yeah,
and calls to mind another crazy trip that we did. One of our first episodes, we went on an airboat and shot wild pigs
running out the marsh and stuff.
That was our Valentine's Day trip.
And it was her first time doing it. And
oh, God, that was fun.
Chasing
like Rambo out there.
The only thing more fun, I think, than an airboat doing that would be from like a helicopter.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen a video where
they do
the
it
helicopters.
in Texas.
They do it in Texas. You can't really do it here. We don't have the landscape.
Right.
But pigs are fun here because there's no season, there's no limit. You can shoot them at night. You can use thermals. You can use scopes. You can use all kinds of stuff.
Okay, so there's the
least restrictions on them.
on pigs.
All you need is a hunting license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're
on wild pigs.
They're
though, right?
invasive,
Yes.
like the
Not
nutras and
babe.
stuff. Yeah, they're not the cute little
Not
Miss
the baby
Piggy ones.
leave Wilbur alone and go.
These
out
dudes
and
have
watch.
horns and stuff and look like
one thing that
woolly mammoths.
I learned here is that everyone's like, oh, bringing home the bacon. You don't make bacon out of wild pig. They're too lean.
No, yeah.
You make them out of the fat ones that sit in the pen all day.
That eat corn all day long.
Exactly.
And they stuff the steroids in them, huh?
But I mean, a wild pig
Jimmy
is
Dean,
good.
that's good.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, but I think it's great what y'all got going on right here, especially y'all have the luxury of going out of state. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how do y'all pick that? Does Don have people he knows, or do people reach out to y'all? Hey, come on my lease.
Well, I'll say the majority of things that we do is contacts because of Don Dubuque, because he's been doing it for 30 plus years.
Right.
So a lot of times her and I will have an idea and we'll tell him the idea, and within a couple of days or a couple of weeks, he has a contact to make it happen because he knows everybody and everybody knows him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Alaska trip we call Cajun Invasion. Don's been doing that for 15 plus years.
All right.
So he goes every year annually and we promote people from here to go there, and they work out a package deal.
Like a little tourism type thing. Oh,
This
cool.
was the first time.
And that's the South Dakota
Yeah.
started the same way, and it was actually some guys that we met in Alaska.
right.
They were on a bachelor trip, the same lodge we're at in Alaska. Started talking to them and said, "Hey, we should do something." They said, "Hey, we got a lodge in South Dakota."
So if you have something somewhere else and you're interested in setting up a Cajun invasion,
Yeah.
please reach out to us.
You know,
Dubai.
the
If camp in
network,
Dubai.
We can
call us.
promote you and you can promote us.
the network of people, you know, an outdoorsman, and like she was kind of saying earlier, we're a lot more in common than you think. So
Right.
you meet outdoorsmen from all over the place, and they kind of want to share what they have with you, and vice versa.
Right. That's one thing I've noticed. Like, you know, I'm like I said, I'm big into the fishing. I like fishing, but the hunting thing, it's kind of intriguing to me. But a couple of years ago, I did a MC event for a Ducks Unlimited thing in Houma that they had, and it's unbelievable. The people that like were at this thing and the gadgets to help you shoot a duck, you know, and I'm like, what? Like just different shells, different, you know. It's so much information I didn't know, but it's like I thought you just put a bullet in a gun and shoot something, but
Every hobby, if
You
you get
can.
further into it, you're going to find more things you want.
Oh
for it.
yeah. I mean, I do the video stuff,
Yeah,
so I'm always
exactly.
finding stuff to put on my,
Right.
you know, build my kit, so I get
Well,
it.
everything is marketable nowadays.
Yeah.
So hunting is no different.
Right.
There's the next big gadget that's going to put you
Here's a
over the
perfect
top.
example. I was watching a sportsman's show. I was in Texas last week, and they were going spear fishing. You know, fishing, spear guns, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The guy on the show used a trail camera for deer hunting and was promoting it on a spear fishing episode because he put it on the boat saying, look, a lot of people, you know, we have all this gear and it's too much to move and it's too much to take off the boat. Put your trail camera on your boat. And then if you catch somebody that shouldn't be there, look, boom, you got him.
Got it.
I was like, that's pretty smart.
Quick little season 6 tease.
Yeah, go ahead.
On this subject of really technology advanced hunting.
Uh-huh.
We did a story with a guy who lives around Marksville, which is like central part of Louisiana, and he's a throwback duck hunter. He hunts with his own handmade Piro, handmade paddle, a
Borderline.
gun from the 1900s, handmade duck calls, handmade decoys. So when every other hunter is trying to get the fastest motor and the $800 waders and all this other stuff, this guy's still doing it like they did in early 1900s, and he kills just as many ducks as someone, if probably not more, than
Right.
some of these other guys.
That have all the gadgets.
So yeah, it's intriguing. I mean, you'll find, and I guess that's kind of another thing that we like with our show is we like telling those stories.
It's also
of
proof that you
tradition
don't
and
have to spend
heritage.
$2,000
Yeah,
to get
absolutely.
into something.
Right. Well, and that's another thing I wanted to say. You know, you guys not only take you know your love for the outdoors and your love for cooking. You guys have a lot of storytelling that y'all
Yes.
do. And I remember the episode that we did, y'all told the story about the little ghost that lived on the island and
Right.
stuff like that. And I was like, man, this is awesome because not only are we doing a gator hunt and then they're going to cook a gator, they're telling stories about the actual place that we're hunting
Or
at.
the people.
Or
you
the
know?
people.
Yeah.
And I love that. So can y'all tell me some of the craziest stories that y'all have heard on the trail of making these episodes? That was a crazy story. That
Yeah.
that was a midget or a dwarf that died or something
Yeah.
on the.
So a lot of the
Ghost midget.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
talking about stuff that goes back, the history is a big thing. One of the good examples, I guess, would be my friend Alan Steen, who he's in his 60s, and he is a champion duck decoy carver. And when you take somebody's passion and you put them on an outlet to talk about it, you just learn so much history. And he talked about the people that got him into it and the legends of these older traditions, a lot of things that are dying out. And we don't want to see these traditions go away.
right.
He got so emotional talking about his national champion duck that he carved for a year, and he gave it to his daughter. And it just shows just the connections to Louisiana and the connections to the history of it. So a lot of these folks, you know, you can really, or talking about the biggest fish caught in Louisiana. I mean,
Yeah, that was a pretty cool story. In our last season, we did a story on the guys that caught the biggest fish on record in Louisiana, which was a 1,200-pound blue fin tuna, which is very rare.
Right.
Doesn't happen very often. 4 guys were on a fishing trip, happened to catch this fish. Well, 3 of the 4 are still alive. This happened in
late
about
90s.
17 years ago or something like that. Well, we sat all 3 of them down, got them individually to tell the story of the day they caught the biggest fish. And then so that was an episode, the biggest fish in Louisiana. So it's cool to hear that story from their perspective. It's not always from our perspective,
Right.
her perspective as a co-host, but it's from the person who
The actual
experienced
person,
it too.
yeah.
You know, some of the other stories too are not just folks that remember the history, but the new generations of people doing this. I mean, Don's nephew is a perfect example. We haven't put him really on the show, but he's 10,
10 years old, yeah.
and he's obsessed. And he caught the youth fish of the year, and other stories. You know, we interviewed a girl named Savannah Hendricks in South Dakota who's literally changing the laws up there. She's so passionate. She's 14, and she's gone to Congress to advance, you know, the hunting for children, and you know,
Conservation, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Extend the youth.
That's awesome
hunts,
how
yeah.
the youth, like, and I would feel like episode stuff that y'all doing are teaching these kids all
Yeah,
these
and then
stories and
one
everything.
of our first episodes, we did a story with a boy from around Slidell, and his dad or stepdad was in the military, and he didn't have much chance to hunt, but he was into hunting. So we teamed up with some other hunters and brought him to a place where he can go kill his first deer. And his dad wasn't there, but we were able to FaceTime him.
He was in
he was in
Japan or
Japan.
something.
We were
Oh,
able
wow.
to FaceTime him when he was bringing the deer in off the four-wheeler the first time, and he got to see it. So,
That's awesome.
you know, that was a pretty cool moment. You
That's
know,
probably worth the whole 6 episodes. Like, to me, stuff like that, like, oh man, if I didn't make $1 off all 6 seasons, that right there was worth it.
One
you
of
know?
one of my favorites. It probably wasn't the most visually engaging episode, but for me as a trip that, you know, because we're building connections with the people that we're filming with, and Chris and I took a trip. What town were we in? Where we went to the seminar where the kids got their hunting and fishing licenses. Eunice, little tiny town,
Right.
little tiny community center. But
Eunice.
the
Eunice.
people there cared so much about the outdoors that, I mean, they had a packed house of kids from about 10 to 15, and they had us as a guest on what they were doing. You know, they were getting their hunter safety, they were acquiring their hunter safeties through these seminars where they were learning fish identification, hunter safety through wildlife and fisheries, how to tie knots. And it was just so much fun to see that they, you know, just the simple things that get you started, that there were so many kids that want to do it. And something that, I mean, I've lived a lot of places, but Louisiana is a state where just kids are ate up with the outdoors.
There's so much to do,
They love it.
you know, and when there's nothing to do, there's so much to do.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
And kids belong outside. And
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I learned this after however many month or so of quarantine.
Yeah.
And getting stir crazy in the house with my son. And I had a baby at the time. I had a newborn when quarantine hit. So that was when you say it was kind of a blessing.
Right.
You know, when you have a newborn, there's a lot of visitors and guests and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we were forced for people to stay away,
Right.
which was a good thing. But I was running out of ideas of things to do with my 5-year-old to entertain him in this house. I mean, we did everything you can think of.
Chalk draw, water
Oh,
balloon fight,
absolutely, but-
everything.
So then when we were finally able to start doing things outside, and you realize how much more he enjoys the day and the time and how much better a mood he was in
Yeah.
when he gets to just go outside and be a kid and
Yeah.
explore and play around in the dirt and all that other stuff. you know?
Definitely. This kid's paradise down here. I
Yeah.
mean, right on the bayou side, boom, done.
It's not just kids' paradise, but with the good weather that we
Sportsman's
have.
paradise.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Really
think
is.
about the folks in quarantine that had to do it in, 40-degree, 30-degree snow, and they literally couldn't be outside.
Right.
I would probably have to be medicated.
Yeah.
Because I've
I
made
would
it
have
a
had
point.
I would have had a couple of bottles of this.
Yeah.
with
Oh,
me.
don't get me started on quarantine and booze. But one thing that I have done consistently the last 3 years is spend at least a couple hours, 2 hours a day outside, whether I'm just in my own neighborhood walking my dog or just something outside. If you're not feeling good, if you're depressed, stressed, whatever, go disconnect. Go for a walk. Leave your phone in your house. Go for a walk. Get outside. Go to a WMA. Go to the park. Go somewhere outside. You will be amazed at how much better you feel.
Yep. I mean, just the fresh air and just being with
Oh, yeah.
nature. Like that's like I was telling y'all, the cup of coffee, the deer stand, and just sitting in there, quiet, isolation, but outdoors. You know what I'm saying? Not isolation inside in front of an iPad or a movie or something like that. Get outside, hit the reset button, smell the fresh air, enjoy nature. I
You
guess.
don't
And
have
that
to be
kind of
hunting and
goes
fishing.
back to what you talked about a little while ago in the storytelling and what we do at our
Right.
show is you don't always go and catch the fish you want to catch
Nope.
or shoot the animal you want to shoot or
But you have a story.
It doesn't always work out.
Mm-hmm.
But you're
But it's
never going to regret
always-
that time.
It's
No.
always an experience.
Exactly.
It always is. And I think that's one of the reasons why we enjoyed bringing you on is because we made it an experience.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's why a lot of people liked watching. You know, what Sean and I do with the y'all catching and what y'all do is because it's practical. It's not like we're not uppity. Like I was talking about, like some of those dramatizations, they make
We're
it
not
sound
trying
like
to shoot a
macho,
200-inch deer every
raw,
day.
You
Yeah.
know, like like
Absolutely.
you got Godzilla, you open it up his mouth and stuff like that. I guess I respect it a lot more because of the total meaning behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are actually pushing stories, pushing, adventures and making a difference. Whereas you got some people that just, they just do it just to do it.
I
you
think
know?
ultimately our goal is to let people know that it's accessible to everyone.
Right.
And you don't have to have the best access. I mean, one of our buddies who we just filmed with, who's going to be in our first episode, he doesn't have a deer lease. He's an avid hunter. He spent all season trying to shoot a deer on public land. And I just saw him last week, and we traded Wahoo for king cake that he made. And then 2 days later, he sends me a text, and he said, I shot Jolie a unicorn, and he
How
had
about
a
that
public
Louisiana
land deer.
barter system right there?
Oh, the Louisiana
Trade
bar
Wahoo
system
for
is
king cake.
fantastic. But
That's awesome.
you can, you don't have to find the expert, but some of the most versed people in the outdoors are the ones you don't even know about.
Right.
The people that have some of the most incredible experiences, the best meat hauling, the best skill, and they're not on a social media page. They're
Right.
not on a TV show. They're just in your own neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Cha-cha down the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's him. And nobody knows him from his elbows.
He's
or
forgotten more
anything.
than you'll
Yeah.
ever learn. You know?
Exactly.
I
And
tell you,
that's-
there's a lot of people that we run into that are amazing stories, and they don't want the attention.
Right.
They'll turn us down.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
I don't want people to know
Dude,
what I'm
there's
doing.
this,
And they're not
um,
necessarily doing anything illegal. They just don't
wanna
want
keep their
to.
head down.
Right.
Yeah.
There's, you can make a story out of anything because, if you go down Cocodrie, there's the Duplantis Bridge by Klondike. When you turn right there's an old house right there on the bayou side. And there's 3 guys. They always sit right there and they're drinking beer every time you pass by. I want to go sit down and interview them just because everybody knows those 3 guys sit down there. They've been there for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
They got tank tops on, and then they got their 16-ounce Budweisers.
They're not sitting there just to drink beer.
No,
they're getting it
there's
done.
some
There's a
interesting
spot.
stories that are
Yeah.
going on
They're
right
solving
there.
the world's problems. in that
Exactly.
little
They done
circle
solved
right
it 20 years ago.
Yep.
They just here still drinking, waiting for somebody to fix it. But no, that's what I really appreciate y'all coming on to the podcast. Is there anything y'all want to talk about as far as like the episodes coming on?
We
brought
do.
something
We'll get
for
to
you
that, but we
first,
brought
though.
you a present.
Oh no!
When we talked about if people watching this podcast didn't see, we did the "See You Later, Alligator" episode,
All right, look at that.
and that's a keepsake that we brought for
Oh,
you.
awesome! Check it out,
We're
y'all.
gonna
Yeah.
put one up at the lodge too.
That was my first. Well, that wasn't the gator I got. I think I got a little. Oh, the one on my back. That's the one that I took out.
You
I
mean your
didn't-
gym equipment?
I had to shoot him like what? No,
A bunch- a
I
few-
shot him once, and
shot
I
him
thought we
once.
got him, but then he kind of moved a little
You
bit.
gotta
And we
hit
shot
the
him
sweet
again.
spot.
Yeah. But this big one right here, I think y'all put 13 bullets in him.
Oh, that guy had to pew
was
pew
like-
him for a while.
I was like, dude, we're gonna have to go back to
That's
academy and get some bullets.
them Texas guys that were on a trip.
Yeah,
today.
yeah, it was
They
a whole
like
bunch of
slinging
Texas
lead.
guys. Oh man, I like this, man. This is
Yeah,
awesome. So which one we going on next? Nutri, you talked
yes,
about, huh?
we are taking you nutria hunting. Hopefully in March, we're gonna look at calendars when
Let's
we finish
do it.
this.
Let's
But
do
we're
it.
gonna
I'm
take you
stoked. I'm
down
ready
to
to go
Venice.
shoot some marsh rats.
Oh,
you know?
it's so much fun.
And you're
Season
gonna make a necklace out of his teeth, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
told me
big
that
orange
earlier.
Orange.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
Orange teeth. You're going to definitely do that. But yeah, Nutra, no doubt. We got to do that stuff. We got to
Season
cook it
6.
too. Season 6. When does it
Airs-
start?
So Thursday.
Well, it's
Yeah,
airing.
tell-
It's
It'll-
airing now.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, tell everybody where they can find y'all. Now, first of all, y'all can find us on LCN, the Louisiana
Right.
Connection
Your
Network,
channel.
which is Cox 104 and Charter 150. Where else they can find y'all?
A handful of other broadcast locations, but the easiest is YouTube.
Right.
Obviously, anybody watching this knows how to use the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
subscribe.
go to
and
YouTube.
if
Bayou
you
Wild
go
on
to Bayou
YouTube,
Wild
Facebook,
TV.
and all that.
Yeah.
All the other typical places you find.
Right.
The cool thing about the internet, I mean, it is great that we're on local television, but YouTube, I mean, I've had people in the East Coast. I've had my dad's friend in South Africa watch
Yeah,
it.
it's the internet. It's the World
It's
Wide
the
Web.
world,
I mean,
yeah.
I'll have people from Germany
Yeah.
texting, commenting on my stuff, and I'm like, that just blows my mind.
Our main network is Cox Sports Television,
Television.
and that airs in 17 different states. We air primarily on Thursday nights and Sunday nights at 7 p.m. They like us, thankfully, and they rerun us a lot. But again, if you don't have these ETEL, Vision networks,
LCN,
WBRZ in Baton Rouge, Sunday mornings.
WUPL in New Orleans, all of our other broadcast stations.
I got you.
Yeah, just go to your guide, type it in, and hit the DVR button because sometimes they're random times. But YouTube, it's always there, and it'll always be
Every
up.
episode,
Yeah.
every promo.
Plus, lots of cool
everything's on there.
bonuses too.
Yeah,
So you can't put everything into a 30-minute show. There's
Right.
a lot of cool stuff that we'll do extras on. Like I just sent my dad. My dad's big into woodworking. And I just sent him the link that Chris made of Dale Bordelon, who was the guy he was talking about with the duck hunting and the
Right.
pirogue. And he's talking about his paddle. And my
The
dad's
art of a paddle. You wouldn't think a paddle
there's an
for
art.
a boat.
There's
And
like to paddle
Yeah,
it?
to paddle the pirogue.
Oh.
And my dad goes, I
to
like
craft it and to use
He goes,
it.
I like his accent.
He kind of goes into it. And then something else, when you mention him, he did a demonstration making a handmade duck call out of a cane reed.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
The whole demonstration took about 30 minutes that he showed us. Well, I can't do 30 minutes on a TV show.
Yeah, you got
so when
to
you
cram
watch,
it into 2 minutes.
When you watch the TV show, it'll be about 3 to 4 minutes. But if you go to YouTube, I'll have the whole
segment.
demonstration.
Yeah.
on.
One thing I forgot to mention that Louisiana also is cool with is art. We've had several artists, whether through taxidermy, traditional taxidermy, unconventional taxidermy as art, Japanese fish print painting, wood carving. I mean, there's a lot of like creativity.
Knife
too.
making.
Knife making.
and y'all starting to incorporate that into the
Well, it's all
the
part of
episodes.
it. It's all
Yeah.
part of the wild brought into something else.
Right. That was one, we could probably leave off of this. There was one story that Don told me when we did the last episode. This guy that made him a knife out of his feet.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's nuts. And he told me the story, and I think y'all had that on one of y'all episodes.
we hadn't had a chance to work it in yet.
Oh, okay.
We did do a show with a knife maker,
An 18-year-old.
an 18-year-old from the Hammond area, Laranger area, who was actually on that TV show Forge and Fire.
yeah,
He won it.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah, so we went to his house and he showed us how he made a skinning knife. But Don also, that's when he mentioned to me, I did this story several years ago for a magazine article of a guy that made a knife with his feet. He didn't have hands and he used his feet to make a knife. And I have the knife at my house that he made. We just hadn't figured out a way to
To
work it
incorporate
in,
that
yeah.
in there. No, dude, y'all got to do that story. That was amazing. I'm not going to give too much away, but this guy has he has no arms or no hands or something, and he made
no
this.
arms,
no arms.
just legs and feet.
Just
yeah.
and he made it with his feet. I mean, I gotta see this. I have to.
And we have a couple pictures. Don has a couple pictures
Yeah.
from like the 90s or whatever when he did this
When he
story.
did
That's
it,
all
yeah.
we had. It's the only content we had was a couple pictures and a story.
Yeah,
So
that's
I was
get creative and
I was a little
Let's make
nervous.
a slideshow.
Here's one thing that also sets it a little differently. I was a little nervous when we started that we'd get to where we are now, a couple years down the road, where we would be like, oh no, what are we gonna cover next?
Yeah,
But when you start incorporating storytelling, you'll never run out of
unlimited.
content. Now you
Unlimited.
can go on a redfish trip with any captain on the sun and it might look the same, but if you find something personal to relate it to, you'll never run out of material.
Everybody has a story.
And I think what I
Everybody.
really enjoy is we're starting to have people reach out to us and say, hey, y'all might like to do something. This might be a
Yeah.
cool story for y'all to tell. Y'all might
Yeah.
like to do that. And then kind of on that same note, I'm really enjoying meeting people that watch our show that aren't hardcore outdoorsmen.
Right.
They don't care about what line or tackle you're using or size hook or size shot. They just like the fact that we're telling a story about
Right.
stuff that they know about because it's Louisiana.
Relatable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a mom recently send me a message on Instagram on our Bayou Wild page saying how much she liked the show. And she doesn't really do outdoor stuff, and you don't have to. That's the
No.
cool thing. Even if you're never inclined to get in a boat or get in a tree stand, she said she enjoyed the program.
Right.
So there's content
Live
value
through
to
us
it.
vicariously.
I mean,
Yeah.
just the visual aid, just the drone shots.
Yeah.
You can get lost in just the imagery of how beautiful the outdoors
Oh,
is.
we would be nowhere without Chris. Hands down.
So yeah, I mean, you don't have to be an avid sportsman to watch a show like this. You can actually sit down and enjoy something, get to know something new, and then get to learn somebody new, to get to learn a story. But if you got people calling you with ideas, half the battle's over with. Because
So
I used to rack my
Yeah.
brains, like you said, every time. The next idea, you have to keep your audience engaged.
There's no shortage, and Don and I were actually on our way yesterday to go film something for a commercial, and somebody called about an idea that he had been talking about, and then we were talking about something else, and we're looking at the schedule, and we're like, well, we can't do it this week, can't do it that week. Martha's fishing these days, and I told him my exact words. I said, there's not enough of us to go around.
Right.
It's not a bad problem to have.
No,
the
it's not.
ideas never run out, which is crazy. And Don's been doing it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always intrigued that he still has fresh ideas. After
Right.
doing it for 30-something years,
Right.
you think
he gets stale.
He kind of gets stale, but no, I mean,
Don's a great guy, man. You sit down and he starts popping off this. Hey, this reminds me of this. This reminds me of this.
Talk about an encyclopedia of stories.
Oh, yeah.
we one of our episodes on this new season, we went catch sheephead, and we invited you, with the schedule
Yeah.
didn't work out, but we
Yeah.
went catch sheephead on Lake Pontchartrain, but we used panfish rig, sac-a-lait jigging pole, something that you normally catch a brim with.
Right.
And we're catching 4 or 5 pound sheephead with it. And that was an idea Don
Having
had.
fun with it, yeah.
And it
We've
was
been
a
talking
cool
to-
marriage between, someone who was a completely freshwater fisherman who's really not experienced in saltwater
Yeah.
fishing. He got obsessed. I mean,
And that
Wait,
was
you'll see
an
that.
Make
idea.
that mock crab meat with that
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
man.
And that was an idea Don's been talking about for, I think, about 2 years to me. I don't know how long he's been cooking it up in his brain.
Right.
But it was, yeah, we can go fishing and catch sheephead, no big deal, but let's go have fun with it. Let's
Yeah.
make it something more of an experience than just catch a fish,
Right.
catch a fish. So
Well, one thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do an episode for y'all catching. I don't know if y'all seen this, but I'm the idiot when it comes to buying those stupid things on Instagram. You know, when you're going through and they
Guilty.
throw the ball on the ceiling and it sticks and you can't. I buy all of that stuff,
Yeah.
okay? Well, one thing I bought was a magnet, and you put a rope onto it and you fish with it. You throw it in the bayou and you pull it in, and whatever sticks to it, you pull it up. I'm going to film an episode just doing that because
Do it.
it's different. I mean,
Do
why
it.
not? Just
the internet is
might catch a
filled-
body. You never know.
Yeah.
you might try this. I saw the video several years ago, but somebody took a little Nemo toy
Uh-huh.
and tried to go catch it. They were like in the Amazon or something like that, and tried to go catch a fish with a little Nemo toy.
I just saw one that goes on your beer can, and it's a little hand reel
Yeah,
that
I
you
saw
reel
that.
on. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's
man.
not that practical, but I know someone's gonna buy it.
They somebody I
Somebody's
bought it.
gonna- yep.
I bought 2.
Guilty.
No, I mean everybody. They got the little
sponsoring
funnels
your
that come
podcast,
out,
right?
Yeah, you can. They got these little funnels that you get. It's a koozie and it turns into a funnel. You poke a hole.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, they real crazy with this, but
So if anybody's interested in working with us, we're always
Yeah.
open to folks. We obviously do advertising. That's kind of our bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a business or something, please reach out to us because we love to meet new people and
they can reach out to y'all on the YouTube, Facebook, all of that stuff.
Facebook and social media. Bayou Wild TV at gmail.com.
Okay.
But
BayouWildTV.com.
yeah, we're always looking for folks to collaborate with and help us help you kind of deal.
Got a
Yeah.
crazy idea, like we're talking.
We'll make it happen.
Or if
We
you
like
or
crazy
if you want to
ideas.
advertise too. I mean, Chris is a masterful commercial producer,
Yep.
and all the advertisements that are on our show, this guy
Produce
And,
them.
Yeah, I mean, since we've started,
Comes with the territory.
we've been
Yeah.
working with the same people.
You have to.
Louisiana Fish Fry, Double D Meat Products, the Propane and Gas Association. Like they've stayed with us,
Right.
which is
CCA.
great. CCA. Just the list of our sponsors has been so wonderful. So if anybody's interested, please let us know.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Find Bayou Wild TV on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere. Local channels, right? Sunday. Y'all said Sunday about 7:00. I know
Thursdays
that's-
and Sundays.
It's Thursdays
yeah.
and Sundays. Sundays on LCN, Louisiana Connection Network. That's the one that I'm on Cox 140 and Charter 150.
And if
So
you can't get to it on TV, just hit the subscribe button and you'll get
you get
notifications.
notification. Well, you hit the ding and you get the notification. So,
Yeah.
well, I'd like to thank y'all for coming on the show
been a
today.
blast. Thank
It's
you.
awesome. And look, I'm ready to get $6 a tail.
Yeah, right? All right. Let's go get the calendar.
Yeah, we'll go get the calendar. But thank y'all for watching the DJ Rhett podcast. We'll see y'all next time. Let's go.
The DJ Rhett Podcast.
That's your mom and them.